So if you guys have made it this far, then you're clearly 100% ready to start learning the Devin Chathel style. So if you're ready to follow along so that we can create this most like amazing possible short, the best graphics with the best animations and the best sound design in the Devin Chathel style, I really want to take my time to make sure that we master and perfect this 20-second short that's going to be absolutely mind-blowing, right? Keep in mind, we're going to do this so that you can show it to other clients and say, hey, take a look at how good my editing skills are. You can hire me so I could work for you. Okay, so if you're completely ready for this, you can head down below and you'll find a link in which you can download a folder that has not only the footage that you're going to need, which is split into two different pieces of video, one of which is going to be me like talking to the camera, and the other one is me without the background, and we did that in the first episode if you remember. And the second thing you'll find is also all the resources which we've used for this entire project. So without further ado, let's head straight into creating a Devin Chathel styled short. So all I'm going to do is click on new project and type out something like Devin Chathel style short, like this. Alright, once I've created my project, we'll give it a second so it can load in. I want to make sure that I'm using the outline for the vertical editing, and if you guys haven't made this, we created this back in the Premiere Basics back in the good old days. You can head over here and just kind of place, you know, your program monitor on the right side in a vertical way, and just make sure your project files are up here and the effects are up here, just so that everything is nice and easy and clear. I'm going to go ahead and close this, close all the panels that I don't need. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on File, New, and create a new vertical sequence, like so. And now we can start importing our footage. So I'm going to create a bin and call it footage, and which we're going to go ahead and double click, open that up, and drag in our, where is it? Our Devin Chathel style video. So as you can see, these are the two footages that you guys will find. You'll find one which is the actual short and one which is a short without a background. We'll go ahead and drag both of these into our timeline and get to work, right? So everything is already done in here in terms of like color grading and audio design. So if you guys were looking to learn how I do that, how to take care of that side of the whole short form content thing, then you could watch a few other courses later on. I'll show you guys how I do that. But for now, if we watch through this, it should be that the top layer is synced up with the bottom layer. So we're going to make this invisible and mute our second layer and kind of watch through it. So please, if you need content ideas for Instagram, and then we're going to unmute this and see Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, don't just go and ask ChatGPT. All right, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to delete the bottom audio layer, and I'm going to leave these as they are. And then I'm going to also drag in a Luma key effect, because as you guys remember, we want to remove this black background, and it'll automatically remove too much of it. It removes 100%. We want to remove maybe just 1%, because if you guys remembered, it was removing a lot of the blacks inside of our image. So please, if you need content, and with this being said, we should have a nice ideas for Instagram, TikTok. There we go, very nice. And we're going to be using this to kind of animate some things behind our character. So once we've done this, we can then start like working on our cuts and everything else. But before we do that, I want to make sure that our audio is pretty good. So at what level? And YouTube, we might bump it up by 4. Don't just go and ask ChatGPT. Very nice. And the one last thing that we will do is select both of these, right click and click on unlink. What this will do is allow us to select each one separately, but that's not what we want to do. We want to select all of them and right click and then link them all three together, which will mean that the top layer, which is our outline without the background, is always going to be synced up with the bottom layer, no matter where we move it or what we do to it. And this is very important because this will mean that we'll never get into any problems with things being out of place. With this being said, I want to do one last thing before we start getting into our editing. I want to rewatch the Devin Chathel style video that we want to mimic, and I want you guys now, with all the knowledge that you've got about all the effects and how he does everything, I want you to watch this through and kind of take a look at how you guys will be able to pick up the style a lot better. So I'm just going to import it over to here we'll import it inside of our footage. I'll go ahead and find it. Just like so. And I'm just going to double click on it and we'll go ahead and watch this. We'll watch around 30 seconds or 20 seconds of it. Let's go.
if you need content ideas for TikToks or Instagram Reels, don't be a dumbass and ask ChatGPT, can you give me 10 content ideas? That's horrible. Let me put you on game and teach you how to use ChatGPT correctly to get viral content ideas. Right now, there are 800 million YouTube videos to steal ideas from, and that's exactly what we're going to do using AI.
So if you guys are ready to mimic this style and you feel like you've understood everything, if you feel like there's anything that you don't understand, either create a community post with the questions so I can make sure that you understand these before we get into it, or go back and watch the older courses. But if you're ready, then let's go ahead and do a quick stretch and then we can get straight into the video. It's very important to make sure that you stretch before you get into editing, especially your shoulders, your rotator cuffs. If we have any people who work out, you'll get what I mean. Your back is going to get really sore after, carrying up this heavy labor, but it's all going to be worth it. So let's get straight into creating the rough cuts. All right, right off the bat, I want to remove all the silences, and then I can go back in and create my J-cuts. So I'll go ahead and do this by creating cuts just like so, and removing all the silences in between. TikTok and YouTube, don't just go and ask ChatGPT, can you give me 10 stuff like this, content ideas. That's horrible. But in sections like this, I want to keep it because I'm going to have an edit that has to do with what I'm saying. So I can just leave it like this. Here's how to use ChatGPT correctly to get viral content ideas. Right now, so the thing is, this entire piece of footage is actually pre-cut, which means I don't really need to remove any silences. What I actually need to do is remove all of these and select these. And as you can see, like in places like this, viral content ideas. Check this out. See, the whole thing is cut. And it's actually one of which is, they're actually a bit delayed. So what we're going to do is actually Control L to unlink it one more time. And we're going to make sure that it's synced up with the cut. Because as you can see, for some reason it doesn't want to preview anymore. Right? Right? Okay, so it just doesn't want to preview anymore. Okay, no problem. We'll make sure that it's linked. Right. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is select all of this and try and use our, what we call scene edit detection, which means Premiere Pro is going to go through the video and try and see where cuts have been made and place cuts aligned like with that. If you guys don't have this feature, then you can go through and manually create these cuts, but this is perfectly okay. So we'll right click and we should be able to find it over here, scene edit detection, and it's going to automatically detect scene changes and flatten footage. So that means it's going to detect where the cuts have been made, and we'll say apply a cut at each detected point, and we're not going to create any bins. So go ahead and analyze. We'll give it a second. It shouldn't take any time at all, and it's just going to go through and create cuts for our entire footage, and this should be fairly accurate. There we go. And as you can see, it has created cuts for all these sections, but it failed to do it for this section, so we'll go through and do this manually. And YouTube, if Premiere Pro allows us to. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch through this, and I believe I have YouTube somewhere around here. Never mind, I don't. So I'm just gonna leave it like YouTube. Don't just go and ask ChatGPT, can you give me 10 content ideas? That's horrible. Here's the first cut that we've got. It's right here. So we're just gonna make a cut right over here. And over here, for some reason, it's created two cuts. The reason being is because, as I said, the top footage is kind of, misaligned with the bottom one, just by one frame. That's perfectly okay. We don't need to be perfect with this. We just need to be as close to perfect as possible. Now let's go back in here. I want to leave this first hook section as it is, because when it is natural, it's a lot easier to hook the viewer. That's a trick that I discovered a while back, and it's a lot nicer. It's going to turn out a lot nicer as an edit. So let's go through and create our J-cuts, and then let's go through and plan our video. So to do our J-cuts, as you guys know, we'll select our second video, and you guys learned this in the advanced editing techniques module. We'll overlap it like this, and we will remove some of the video over here. And we want to make sure that the audio, as you guys can see over here, drops as this one is increasing. That's horrible. Here's how to use ChatGPT. That's what we want to create for the whole thing. Now, the only issue we will be facing, or the only thing that's a bit different, is just that we've got two layers, right? So we've got one for our character and one for our background. So we'll need to make sure that we also keep those aligned. Once again, let's recreate that over here. I don't want to remove too much. I want it to still be natural. Right now, there are 800. Very nice. Million video ideas to steal. All you gotta do Gotta extend this one a bit more. Do is head over to YouTube. All right, we'll do YouTube and search for a content idea that you like. Then take that video and plug it into ChatGPT. And once again for this one as well. And with this done, you will get 10 content ideas that you can use. And our short turns out to be almost 25 seconds long, which is a perfect length for us to display our skills. And once again, we're trying to make this a show reel, which means we have to really show off our editing. Now, with this out of the way, let's go ahead and watch through this and see how it turned out. So please, if you need content ideas for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, don't just go and ask ChatGPT, can you give me 10 content ideas? That's horrible. Here's how to use ChatGPT correctly to get viral content ideas. Right now, there are 800 million video ideas to steal from. All you gotta do is head over to YouTube and search for a content idea that you like. Then take that video and plug it into ChatGPT. And with this done, you will get 10 content ideas that you can use. So as I was watching this, I was trying to plan out my best way to kind of edit this whole thing, and I've got a few ideas in mind based on the Devin Chathel short that I've watched. So this is how our planning process is going to go. I believe the first 10 seconds is going to be an entire hook. So for this first section, please, if you need content idea, the so please is actually the loop. If you need, which means to loop this whole video around, I'm going to have the so please literally just make a cut and place it all the way behind, which means this clip right over here is actually the completion of this clip. So this, once it's looped back, it's gonna play back into here. It's gonna kind of look like a really, really smooth edit. And all we gotta do is just remove the silence over here. Check this out. So please, if you need content idea, there we go, see? This is gonna be our hook. If you need content ideas for Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and what we're gonna have here is we're gonna have infinite and content ideas with a glow, and then we're gonna have the Instagram logo and TikTok logo and YouTube logo pop in, right, slide in under it, and we'll have them animate. We'll create our gallery slide animation. YouTube, don't just go and ask ChatGPT, then we'll have it get removed. And once we say don't ask ChatGPT, I think we'll have a ChatGPT text box pop in, in which we're gonna type out the effect. Can you give me 10 content ideas? And then we'll have it. That once we say that's horrible, we're gonna have it turn red. That's horrible. Here's how to use ChatGPT correctly to get viral content. And once I say here's how to use ChatGPT correctly to get viral content ideas, we're gonna have this as a complete title sequence, right? So we're gonna write out here's how to use, and then ChatGPT is gonna be with glow, and I'm gonna have the animation of its icon come in. Correctly to get viral content ideas. To get viral content ideas, it's just kind of gonna be like a bit zoomed in on my face. And when I say viral content ideas, I'm going to have that camera flash effect of the different effects. Right now, there are 800 million video ideas to steal from. And when we say this, you guys already know we're going to create our Google pop-up 3D animation. All you got to do is head over to YouTube and search for a content idea that you... Now, when I do this, I'm going to get a bit more creative. I'm going to, obviously, have like a text box that looks like YouTube with a background and etc. Then take that video and plug it into ChatGPT. And then here we're also going to do some really cool animations with some backgrounds. And with this done, you will get 10 content ideas that you can use. All right. And then over here, we're just going to finish it off with some subtitles and a nice box that looks like a ChatGPT prompt. With this done, you will get 10 content ideas that you can use. So please, if you need content, there we go. All right. So this is our entire plan. I'm really excited to get to work on this. This is going to take some really nice animations, some really nice effects. But if you guys are ready for it, I'm ready for it. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next episode, in which we're going to dive straight into the next step in editing this entire short. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.